Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 1991 film directed by Kevin Reynolds, starring Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Alan Rickman, and Christian Slater. The story we all know. Robin of Locksley is on a crusade, he comes back to find his father murdered and his lands taken by the Sheriff of Nottingham. He joins a ragtag group of thieves hiding out in Sherwood Forest and robs the rich whilst he prepares to face off with the sheriff and take what's his. This version, this specific film, is unfortunately a pretty awful take on that tale. There are three major things for me that simply do not work. The first one is the script. The dialogue is mostly terrible or cheesy, or very often both, and the flow of the story is often just weird, with the scenes being awkwardly stitched and sentenced together one after another. The second thing is kind of connected to that, but I think it deserves to be talked about separately because it's such a big thing, and that's the structure of the film. So typically most stories will follow the classic three-act structure. They do it for a good reason. Culturally, we're most used to this type of storytelling, and because it's familiar, it just naturally flows better. Some films break that structure consciously, but you have to be very careful when you do it, and you have to know what you're going for instead, because if you just do something else for the sake of doing something else, it will feel slightly confusing for the audience. And that's what happens here. The movie mostly follows the three-act structure, but then the big battle at the end of Act 3 happens, and suddenly there's 45 more minutes in the film. And as a viewer, I was sort of expecting the movie to wrap up quickly after that, but that didn't happen. As a result, the pacing is completely broken, and those last 45 minutes are a drag. They are excruciatingly boring. By the time the movie ended, I was thoroughly tired of it. The final thing that doesn't work for me is Kevin Costner as Robin Hood. While everyone else around him is doing an English accent, he just doesn't give a fuck and speaks like a true American all the time. And the accent, believe it or not, is the least of his problems. He's just really not charismatic at all in the role as Robin. So I never once for a second bought his character. I was never watching Robin Hood, I was watching Kevin Costner in an average looking costume. His acting in the film is just not good and does not fit the character. The one and only thing that is good about Robin Hood is Alan Rickman as sheriff. It seems that what he's done is he looked at the script, he went, right, this doesn't make any sense at all, so I'm just gonna turn the cheese up to 11, ham it up, and have a blast. And he's really entertaining, just overacting and chewing the scenery all the time, especially as all the other actors are dead serious, and he's in the middle of it all, doing whatever the fuck he wants at the time. And the best part is that he's not the one looking crazy. You get this impression that he's the only sane one among the cast and the only person that realized what's going on around him, and so he just went nuts with the performance because that was the only thing that makes sense. And I think Robin Hood would have been much improved, much more entertaining if the others followed his example and just went all in and made it a straight comedy instead of a failed attempt at being an endearing adventure film. The bad news is that even Rickman is not enough to lift the movie up, because even though he was clearly having lots of fun, for the majority of the runtime, I wasn't.